Justice with Judge Mablean will be life because in everything we do, it involves the law.
You came to court to testify about what you heard, what you saw, and what you know.
She's fair.
I don't have a hearing problem. This ear works good. This one works even better.
She's firm.
I'm not responsible for that ticket, and I'm not going to pay for it.
Who says you're not going to pay for it? I make that decision, not you.
She's honest.
What you have to say?
All I have to
Nothing.
say.
This is Justice with Judge Mablean. Rose Trenton is suing Julianne Ashton in the amount of $6,975. Ms. Trenton claims her ex-boss asked her to perform tasks outside of her job description and says she was then fired without notice.
All rise. All parties raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Yes.
Court is now in session with the Honorable Judge Mablean presiding.
Thank you. You may be seated. The matter of Rose Trenton versus Julianne Ashton, you are suing her for how much? $6,975. Oh, this is the nanny, the live-in nanny, thinking that she's not paid sufficient amount of money. Talk to me about it.
I'm suing for wrongful termination and unpaid overtime. I had about 4 years of nanny experience before I heard that the Ashtons were hiring a live-in nanny, which I had never done before, but I was really excited because they're a huge power couple, and it was going well for the first couple months. I loved their kids. It was going really great, but towards the last 2 weeks of working for them, one of Mrs. Ashton's personal assistants quit, and I ended up taking on a lot of responsibilities that weren't in my original job description. And I worked about 25 hours of overtime each of those last 2 weeks. And then when she came home from one of her last travel trips, she fired me because she thought I was being too affectionate with her children. Without any notice, she fired me.
Okay, so now, what was in your job description? And you said the original job description because she had you doing more. What was the original job description?
I do have the contract here if you'd like to see.
Okay, yes, I would. 'Cause I can read it better than you can tell me. A live-in nanny, I can imagine what a job description was. Off on Saturday and Sundays, but on call. 8 hours Monday through Friday plus on call. So 8 hours Monday through Friday plus on call and you're a live-in nanny. Mm-hmm. I thought live-in, you were there 24 hours.
I was, but I wasn't paid for the Sunday and Saturdays.
Yeah, you're off on Saturday and Sunday.
Correct.
So did you get off?
Yes, but I often found myself doing late work that I hadn't been able to accomplish during the week.
I don't know what that means. Late work that I wasn't able to accomplish during the week.
For example, doing laundry for the kids. There were often times when the Ashtons would get home late and I would end up staying up later than I had previously planned. They often called in the middle of the nights when they were traveling, and I had to stay up and help the kids go back to sleep, which took hours.
That's why they hired you to be there with them, because they had to travel.
Yeah.
If they didn't have a live-in there with them, they couldn't travel. You just said they were a power couple. What were you, actors, actresses? What kind of power couple? Business?
I'm a studio head.
Yeah. So that's why they hired you. So yeah, you had to wake up at night and answer the phone when they called home to see about their children. Are you crazy? You're the live-in nanny. They're working. That's your point.
Right, but I was doing duties that I wasn't assigned.
What were you doing that you weren't assigned?
So when her assistant quit, I ended up also doing personal things for Mrs. Ashton.
Like?
Going shopping for personal items, doing her laundry, not just the children's, things like that. Packing for her trips.
What's this about clothing and washing and all of that?
So I was assigned to do the children's laundry, but it wasn't in my job description to do Mr. and Mrs. Ashton's laundry as well, which added up to quite a lot of work.
Did you have a housekeeper or someone else to come in to do the house cleaning and all of that?
No, that was the responsibility of our personal assistant, and when they quit, We had no one to fulfill those responsibilities.
So what did you do that you said the last 2 weeks you were doing personal assistant duties? So that's how you arrive at the $6,975?
Half of that, around half of that, I believe it's broken down there, but half of that is for that overtime for those past 2 weeks, and then the other half is for the wrongful termination without notice. I was supposed to have 2 weeks notice before being terminated, and I didn't receive that.
Coming up on Justice with Judge Mablean.
There were also things going on with the children that I was very uncomfortable with.
Okay.
Like, for instance, she had the children sleeping in her quarters, and also I found that she had been wearing my clothes.
And later,
His sermon, when I was listening to it, I got the Holy Spirit. Within 2 minutes, I fell. I hit my head on the pew. When I fell, when I see other people all the time at this church fall, and they always get caught.
Justice with Judge Mablean. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Rose Trenton, who is suing Julianne Ashton for unpaid wages.
Okay, let me hear from you, Miss Ashton.
Well, Your Honor, I'm a very busy woman. I have a lot of things to do, as you can imagine, as a studio head, and I've worked really hard to get to where I am. And
You what?
I've worked very hard to get to where I am.
Okay.
And my husband and I, we have a lot of people on our payroll. We have a lot of people who work for us, a lot of things that need to get done. And I expect from my employees that they be done a certain way and in a certain manner. And I fully explained the responsibilities to Miss Trenton, exactly what she needed to be doing. It's all in the contract.
She's
And-
hired as a nanny, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And how many children? Two?
Two.
How old were they?
4 and 3.
Okay, so she's hired as the live-in nanny
Yes.
for the purposes of the contract is to be there for the children,
Yes.
to take care of the children's needs, all of
Yes.
their needs. And then you have personal assistants to take care of your needs and your husband's needs.
Yes.
And you say you didn't have a housekeeper to clean the house and to do those kinds of things. That was the personal assistant's duties. Okay, your personal assistant quit
Yes.
for 2 weeks.
Yes.
So did you ask Miss Trenton to pick up those duties?
I did temporarily until we found another assistant.
Did you pay her
We did pay
the
her.
additional fee that you paid the personal assistant?
No.
Okay. But now she has personal assistant duties. Now she's taking care of your clothing. Now she's packing for you. Now she's helping you get your stuff together when you're going out of town.
Well,
right?
There were responsibilities that she had already. She was doing for the
That's
children.
not in this contract. It said for the nanny, it said she packed for the children when the children were going out of town.
Yes, of course.
But not you.
Of course, but since there was no one else to fill that responsibility, one extra bag, a load or two more, a few more items, that take what, another 5 minutes?
I don't know how long it takes, but you didn't hire her to do that.
There were also things going on with the children that I was very uncomfortable with.
Okay.
Like, for instance, she had the children sleeping in her quarters. She was allowing them to use the iPad. We found that the children were addicted to the iPad when we returned from our trip because they were sleeping with it. And also, I found that she had been wearing my clothes.
Ooh. So that's the reason for termination.
Yes.
But your contract that you wrote said 2 weeks notice.
Yes.
And I don't know why you would tell yourself, why you would give her a contract taking care of your children to give her 2 weeks notice if you were to come home and find out that she was doing something that you didn't like related to your children, you would leave somebody there 2 more weeks. Why would you give them 2 weeks notice and they're caring for your children? I don't know why you put that in the contract.
Well, that's for things like when
no,
when
you
there
said
aren't-
termination 2 weeks notice. That's what you said. So you have to pay her for the 2 weeks. Now, what were your earnings per week?
$1,800 per
Okay,
week.
so that's $3,600 you owe her for the 2 weeks that you didn't give her notice. How many hours did you spend in those 2 weeks as personal assistant?
Probably about 15 hours each week.
What would you say? Does that sound about accurate? Or you wouldn't even know?
I wasn't around.
You weren't around?
I was on a trip.
Did you know she was doing all this?
I had asked her to, yes.
Oh, okay. So then you got to pay her. What do you have to say, Mr. Ashton?
Well, One thing that I'll say, Your Honor, is my wife misspoke about something. If you look under the contract, we did speak about something. It says general supervision, and that's general supervision of the house and all the duties that that house entails. And I think there's been a little bit of a miscommunication.
Really?
Yes.
Let me see if I see that.
Right under duties, it says general supervision. I could take the contract up to you if you'd
Oh,
like.
the one that somebody hand wrote in.
Yes.
Correct.
But it says taking the child and children to playground or to the park every Wednesday, doing the children's laundry each week, give medications on time when necessary, pick up from activities, and general supervision are related to children.
The general supervision was not related to children. General supervision was taking care of the house.
You know, if you read a contract like this, when
Yeah.
everything else in that sentence under duties related to the children, how all of a sudden you jump to general supervision for the whole household?
Well, when we had a conversation about it,
No. You should have written that contract better. No, that would never be interpreted as such. When everything on this contract about her is related and specifically related to the children, then all of a sudden you write in general supervision. And that's supposed to be the entire household. No. I'm still trying to figure out, what did you pay your personal assistant? Because she said 15 hours. She did about 15 hours overtime, and she did that for 2 weeks, so that's about 30 hours. What did you pay your personal assistant? Did you pay them by the hour, by the month,
By the
flat
week.
salary, or what?
We paid them by the week.
You paid your personal assistant by the week?
Yes.
And how many hours per week, did they work?
About 40.
Okay, so how much did you pay that personal assistant?
I paid them $2,000 a week.
So you get $1,500 addition. And the $3,600 for her actual income because you failed to give the 2 weeks notice. $5,100. Judgment for the plaintiff. $5,100.
All
Well, y'all still
rise.
standing there. Judgment for the plaintiff. Get out.
Judge Mablean has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $5,100.
I'm glad I got my money, but I am done with the nanny business.
We learned a valuable lesson from the judge. Next time, we're rewriting our nanny contract.
Coming up,
She said she had an electric bill or something, and I explained to her that I'm unable to help you, but I can help you out with prayer.
So she asked you to pay the electric bill?
Justice with Judge Mablean. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. Carol Haskins is suing Reverend Mitchell Gundy in the amount of $1,500. Ms. Haskins claims her pastor's sermon was so passionate that the Holy Spirit took hold of her and says she fell and hit her head on the pew.
Carol Haskins versus Reverend Mitchell Gundy. I am told that you are suing for $1,500 for an injury you sustained at church, and that was the cost of your medical bill or the deductible?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me what happened at church.
First off, my name is Carol Haskins. I have a 5-year-old son. I am a sales associate. At the moment, I start currently going to Mr. Pastor's Gundy Church for a year now. Doing me going to this church, I was asking Mr. Gundy about his services and can he pray for me and my son. He agreed to it. And he that following week, he did a sermon about wealth. And I felt like his sermon was targeted about me and me only. I feel like I was the only one that he was talking to at that time, telling me about his sermon. When I was listening to it, I got the Holy Spirit at that time. Within 2 minutes, I fell. I hit my head on a pew. There was no ushers. There was anybody there to catch me when I fell. When I see other people all the time at this church fall, and they always get caught. They have a pillow on the ground for these people and everything. And I did not see.
Were you in your seat?
No, I was not.
Where were you?
I was standing up. I was
Standing up in what part of the church?
in the front row of the church listening to Mr. Gundy's sermon.
So that's in your seat.
Mm-hmm.
And you fell
Yes.
and hit your head on the pew.
Yes.
How?
I hit my head on the pew because I was shaking, I was going dramatic, I was going crazy. It really touched me. It was overwhelming.
So you think the pastor should pay for your medical bill?
Yes, because I have all these recurring headaches all the time. I have medical bills and proof of this right here. And
after you hit your head, what happened?
I say I was on the floor about 1 or 2 minutes, and then that's when the ushers want to come and usher me to the back and put ice on my head.
coming up.
She explained to me some hardship she was going through. She said she had an electric bill or something, and I explained to her that I'm unable to help you, but I can help you out with prayer.
So she asked you to pay the electric bill?
Closed captioning provided by. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Carol Haskins, who is suing Reverend Mitchell Gundy for medical expenses.
Reverend, let me hear from you.
I've been pastoring at First Crossroads, over 10 years. This whole matter is very embarrassing to our congregation and to the church. About a week prior to this incident, she asked for some additional prayer after a Sunday, her and her son. I gave her additional prayer, and then she explained to me some hardship she was going through. She said she had an electric bill or something, and I explained to her that I'm unable to help you, but I can help you out with prayer.
So she asked you to pay the electric bill?
Yes.
Is that a fact?
Yes, I did. I did not ask him for money, Your Honor. I asked him, do he have any programs or contribution that can help me with the electric bill?
Okay. All right. And then the next week she's at church?
She's at church.
And your sermon is about?
I put a sermon together on wealth and how to inspire and motivate and being patient.
And during that preaching of the sermon, you were moved by the sermon and you got the Holy Spirit?
Yes, but I felt that I needed it at that time. I've been stressed
So it
out.
met your need at that particular time and you were rejoicing as a result of that?
Yes, I was.
And you hit your head?
Yes, I did.
And you think it's his fault?
Yes, it is.
Well, did he put the Holy Spirit on you, or is that something that is a belief that you have according to the Bible, that you believe that one gets caught up in the Spirit and rejoices and all of that? Or is that the pastor touching you?
It's a spirit.
So if it's a spirit, then you have to ask the Spirit to pay.
Judge Mablean's verdict when Justice with Judge Mablean returns. Promotional consideration provided by. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean.
What part was the medical bill?
The $500 was for the medical bill and $1,000 was for the pain and the suffering.
Well, I'm not going to give you any pain or suffering. There's absolutely no legal responsibility on his part. Now, if he chooses to, out of the goodness of the church's heart in terms of compassion and need, assist you and give you something, that's on them. But then again, if he does, he may be setting a terrible precedent for all the others who may get in the spirit and hit their head. There's no legal responsibility. That's why it's called the Spirit. He didn't push you, he didn't shove you, he didn't touch you. It's totally out of his control, your experience and what occurred. Now you want to hold him responsible for paying.
Yes.
Not gonna happen. Judgment for the defendant.
Judge Mablean has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been denied.
I'm sorry this happened to you. The congregation will do whatever it can to help you pay for your bills.
Okay, I really appreciate it, and I'll rejoin the church.
This has been a production of Entertainment Studios.